the Football Pod on Off the Ball in partnership with AIB, proud sponsors of the Football, Hurling and Camogie All-Ireland Club Championships. Hashtag the toughest.
Hello there, and you're very welcome along to the Football Pod. What a weekend of football we're after having. It was something else. Paddy Andrews, James O'Donoghue, you're both very welcome along.
Hey, Tommy.
How's it going?
Things are good.
Any crack?
The crack is slack. Jack. Any crack by you?
We've a big announcement.
We do.
We didn't know where we were going last week. But we knew we were going on the road. Well,
on the road again.
We're heading to the home of the Ulster Champions, Donegal. Ooh. And tickets, if you're listening to the pod this evening on Monday evening, tickets are live right now. We're going to Letterkenny, Friday the 24th of May. They're due to be playing Tyrone the next day. It's going to be class. We'll have special guests. Paddy and James, you looking forward to that?
Can't wait.
I am. It's a very long way away though, isn't it?
Not for you. It's just
when are you leaving this
you.
weekend? Like,
in comparison to me.
How long is that drive? When you played
like 6
up
minutes.
at Ballybuffet, like what did you do?
450 kilometres.
On the day of the match? No, surely not.
No, it's Saturday night
Night
bus
before.
for Sunday game.
And back the Sunday evening.
Back to Sunday evening, a couple of times with the tail well and truly between our legs as well.
After getting
With,
knocked
like-
off by 10 points, like.
Yeah, like
Well-
we had one. Well, we had one great result up there actually, where we played brilliantly, and then we had one where actually Tomas O'Shea got sent off early, and we just capitulated. It was shocking. We had a very young team though, but that is a long journey home after having a nightmare. I'll tell you that.
Hey,
So the show
there'll be
better
no-
go well.
the show will go well. There'll be no
Show will
nightmares.
go well. We have a couple of
We'll have
guests,
a great
Tommy, do
night.
we?
We do. I'll be revealing one in the morning, and then a little later in the week, we should have a little bit more news for you. So,
We'll give
tickets
a
going on
hint.
sale.
A Jim X. No, an X McGuinness. We won't be too
McGuinness.
obvious. with it.
Okay,
If this show had any credibility, Jim McGuinness to join us.
Well, we'll see about that. Okay, that's us. Friday the 24th of May, our first roadshow of the year with thanks to AIB, proud sponsor of the Senior Football Championship. We can't wait for it. The Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny, Friday the 24th of May. Snap up your tickets now because they're going to go quick. It's €20 all in, including booking fee. Great value. All our shows are up on YouTube that we've done before in Castlebar, in Killarney, in Croke Park with Michael Meehan and Kilmacud Crokes. They've all been great fun. So hopefully we'll see you there. And we're actually really looking forward to being in Donegal that weekend because, lads, we had a clatter of Tailteann Cup games that we'll get into. We had 2 under-20 semi-finals. Probably not going to mention Porky Queeve and the hurling on Saturday night, which was an incredible GA occasion, because on Sunday we had 2 pretty tasty provincial finals, it turned out. The Dubs, 119, Louth 212. They moved the dial from 21 points to 4. But we're not starting there. We're starting in Clonus. James, in a minute, talk to us about this game.
You stole
Monday
my
minute.
whole format of video there. You basically just went word for word. The copyright there.
James is Monday minute for
Come on, give us your Monday
grand.
minute.
You don't even have to watch the games now with my Monday minute
How much are you getting paid for that Monday minute? Because that is great content. You are
It is
raking
great
it.
content, isn't it?
It's
It's
phenomenal. You don't even need to
You
watch
want trying to
anything.
build a house.
Forget about GA Go. Forget about the Sunday game. Jimmy's Monday minute is where it's at.
Hit it, James. Come on. Talk to us
60
about this
seconds.
game.
Go on.
Clonus.
Summarise this game in 60 seconds.
And start the clock. In that game in Clonus was second half, I think, was as we expected. I thought it would be like that for the whole game, where it was nervy-ish, whereas first half, any opportunity for a score was taken. Long range, from angles, they pulled the trigger and showed serious quality in front of goals. And it was an enthralling match in the first half. At the same time, it was still ultra defensive. The one criticism I'd have nearly of both teams is, was it 10 each at half time or 10-9?
10-9 Armagh.
That's high scoring match, considering there was 2 blanket defences. Do you know, when you actually break it down, it's like, are these blanket defences still actually working? There's bodies everywhere, but when you have kickers like Oisín Gallen and Thompson and these fellas who are going to pull the trigger, or at least have the risk of pulling the trigger, I thought blanket defences are going to be. They're not. I don't think there's as much longevity in them anymore. But come second half, it did get tight, and when Armagh went 4-up through Stephen Campbell's point, he gave the celebration to the crowd, fist bump. It felt like that was another nail in the coffin. 1 or 2 more points, probably one when you look back at the final score was 15 each. 1 more point would have done them. But Armagh went 20 odd minutes without scoring and without creating either. Like they had the mark, which was from distance. They also turned on 2 other marks where they kicked them backwards. No,
So,
they were tricky, but
Soupy Campbell had a mark in the 38th minute.
he did. He
from the
tailed
exact
away,
same
yeah.
position, and he skewed it. No, he dropped it short.
Yeah.
No,
And
back.
Jardy O'Byrne gets it. That's not on for Jardy O. It's a 68 minute. There's still 5 minutes to play left. Are either of you taking those marks on? Because they are getting
I
hammered.
probably wouldn't call
Like-
for
like,
Mark
put it
if I'm
this
not
way.
going to have a shot at it
Okay.
Did you fancy Tailteann Kelly to kick that score?
He had a good chance.
with the
It was
left.
a chance.
Jimmy, did you fancy him to kick that? The mark, the last kick.
I thought it was
I would have been amazed if it went
65-35. Yeah, I don't think it was an 80-20 against. Like, do you know, I thought he had a good.
Well, I
chance
didn't
of it.
fancy him either. Like, I think Armagh. I agree with you, Jimmy. And we've been and I definitely have been very critical of Armagh in big games where they were conservative. No more so. I think that last year's All-Ireland quarter final, where they're a better team than Monaghan, and they played a game at Monaghan's level. I thought yesterday Armagh were brave for a lot of that game. I think their style of play, they attacked their pace, they went with long kickouts where they could. I thought it was a brilliant game. I really did, and we were nearly universal with the previews last week that this was going to be cagey enough. I thought it was a brilliant game. I thought Armagh were the better team, but Donegal. We chat about Donegal separately, but just to focus on Armagh, when they go 15-11 up at the end of the third quarter, and you're right, Soupy Campbell kicks 2 massive scores, comes into the game. He's not great in the first half, but second half. And for all the world, Donegal are out on their feet. It looks like the emotional high of the Derry game, the extra time against Tyrone, they were just running on empty. They started well first quarter. Obviously, Oisín Gallen was red hot in the first half, but they just seemed to be, the writing was on the wall. Armagh are going to win this game, and they don't score in the final quarter. And I agree with you. I think maybe a little bit of them started to come back into their shells, but I think you give massive credit for Donegal. Donegal just would not piss off. And that's, of all the things McGuinness has brought in, that is a team that just, and it was the same against Tyrone in the semi-final, even if we're not going well, we think we can win this thing. And the impressive thing, we were chatting, Tommy, Niall O'Donnell, younger player. It's not McBrearty and Michael Murphy and these guys who've been there for years and years and years. Roy McHugh, talk about Oisín Kennedy doing an unbelievable job on him from Armagh.
Superb.
It was younger, newer guys. Paddy Mogan gets up for a score. Oisín Gallen, obviously, Raiders a little bit off in the second half, but these were the guys that were leading Donegal back into it. McBrearty ends up getting the equaliser as well. That bit of
Paddy, the
experience.
first O'Donnell point is at 13-9. And this isn't the most memorable.
The 2 points he gets in the second half, neither of them are on, but that's a symptom merely of Donegal were just struggling to break them down. And he takes 2, you could probably say, speculative shots, but they're unbelievable scores. And even that score he gets at the start of the fourth quarter, which brings it back to 15-12, or 15-12.
Yeah.
And the Donegal crowd don't even... They nearly feel... The whole energy was that Donegal are finished here. And just by grit, they turn it around quickly. And Armagh in the final quarter, there's 2 shots, whatever about Kelly's. They just, they don't work a clinical score. They only have 3 wides in the first half, but they're really, really sharp. Rian O'Neill has a shot, and Rory Grugan has a shot in that fourth quarter. And they're the 2 boys you want shooting, to be fair to them, along with Turbot, you would say. So they've done well in getting the ball to them. And they're tricky shots. The lads, probably where they really on, it's touch and go, but they look back at those plays. I think they're the 2 best opportunities just to get a score in the final quarter. And then with the lead they'd built up and all the work they'd done, that probably would have been enough to win the game. So I have slated Armagh before for being conservative. I thought in extra time, I thought they were excellent again. They probably had the game won. Nugent, Oisín O'Neill off the bench, brilliant scores. But you have to, if you're in Armagh and they're going to look at this clinically before they go into the All-Ireland series, so much was good. So much went right. Even their penalties were good until the last one.
Five brilliant penalties.
But if you look back and say, we did not score in the fourth quarter of the match. You cannot possibly win the biggest games if you don't score for the main quarter. And as much as Armagh did right, they'll be disappointed with that. Those couple of shots, could they have worked them a little bit better? But you have to give credit to Donegal, who looked like they were running on empty, but this is the McGuinness factor more than anything. Just where we're going to win this. We have this guy in our corner, the energy, the buzz around it. Harsh on Armagh, but I thought they played I thought they did a lot right yesterday.
The one word that James Dunhu tweeted at full time yesterday was cruel. A summation that is probably apt, but when Paddy's talking about that fourth quarter there, James, and Kieran McGeeney gets it levelled at him quite a bit on social media, you hear it said quite a lot that he's 17 years in county manager and he hasn't won silverware. Who gets the blame for that last 15 minutes? Can the management be blamed for that? Or is it the players? What is it like? It's such fine lines.
Not this time, for me. Not this time.
I agree with Paddy. I think Armagh were outstanding and they took the game to Donegal. But you still have to, if you're going to analyse the game, you have to be critical in a way that they weren't able to just come up with one more point. We've said it in a couple of pods throughout the year. It's like, the next point is so important. You think you're up 4 or 5, it's enough. It's never fucking enough. Like, you have to get one more, or you have to at least show some bit of impetus to get the point. But I'm just looking here. Nugent came on after 67.
Very good.
He gets 3.
Good.
But Jesus. And you're looking at all the small things here now. I'm wondering if they brought him on at the same time as they brought on Charlie Oak, after an hour.
Yeah.
Would he have, because he seemed to have the drive. He wanted to get a score. He wanted to drag him through. It's those kind of personalities. But I felt, I said cruel. I wouldn't say I was going for Armagh, but my heart just went out to them because you could even see McGeeney in the penalties. Did you see when they were?
Boy,
they were arm in arm.
I was looking.
He honestly, he was nearly smiling. He was like, "I'm going."
He was smiling.
I'm going to be fucked over again. He was thinking.
No, I don't know what he was. I think he was like, was he praying? I don't know, but I did notice that he had his arms around the referee and one of the other coaches, and his eyes were closed, and he was smiling, and he was.
It was like a case of we can't do any more.
Yeah, kind of like just
do any more.
Please fucking
just
win this thing.
Give us that bit of luck. Because I remember when we were playing E a couple of times. And it was different with E because we knew that if we were ahead, we were going to come with everything. So it was obvious what Dublin were going to do. But our mindset at times, it changed. But at the start, it was, we'll almost hang on. And it's impossible. As soon as you go ahead, those couple of points in a big game, the other team has nothing to lose. They're just going to come at you with everything they can. And the ref is going to be on their side to even it up. And there might be a free and a foul and a bit of luck. There's too much to chance. I think you have to keep the foot in the gas. Armagh were still playing so well after 50 odd. I don't think they did an attack. Whatever it is, it's not. I don't think it's from the sideline at all. It could be from the previous games where
maybe
there's a bit of scarring there, and they're like, just let's fall over the line. I've been there myself. Just blow the fucking whistle. Let's get out of here with the win. But I think that they missed. The reason they didn't do it is because they didn't push on to get that extra score. If you look at the top teams, and again, we're looking at teams who won the All-Ireland, like Dublin, they would have kicked on and got 2 or 3 more scores in that situation.
Armagh are not that team. And that's why.
But it's the only way to get over the line these days, because otherwise you're going to be on the receiving end of a blitz.
I do think they were going. The couple of examples there, they got up the field, they just didn't execute. It wasn't like they said, fuck this, we're 15-11 up, let's just drop everyone back and just play keep ball. They tried to get up the pitch. I said, a couple of opportunities, got it to shooters, and the guys just didn't convert. They probably could have worked the score a bit better. I do accept that with them, but of course, the best teams would have tagged on 3 or 4 points, but Armagh are not going to win the All-Ireland. They're not, and but I wouldn't be looking and going, this is McGuinness's fault from the sideline for going conservative. Or naturally, I agree with you, the players are thinking, we nearly have this. and Stephen Campbell is, I'm not mad, I'm celebrating with 50 odd minutes on the clock. It's just like, there's more coming.
Aidan Forker celebrated that first point after 45 seconds. They were celebrating points all day long.
Yeah, it was a bit of a hurling, John Milan type stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but I do think you have to give credit to Donegal as well.
How did they dig that out, Paddy? Because we mentioned the O'Donnell points, but how did Donegal claw their way back into that?
Just resilience. Like they struggled on the long kickouts and used his kickouts all day, but all of a sudden they started winning some of them. They got a great score off Jason McGee, and I think a big plus for Donegal, whatever about McGuinness and what he's done, but look at through the Ulster Championship, the likes. Brendan McCall's been exceptional, but he's been there a couple of years. McGee has been there a couple of years, but he's probably been the best midfielder in the Ulster Championship.
Yeah.
That the O'Donnells,
they've all been plagued with injuries.
Unbelievable breakout seasons. Like Doug O'Donnell scored, Shane O'Donnell as well. Gallen has for 50 odd minutes. Like just, you know, when the guys and Turbot, to be fair, at the other end, the guys are just on when they have the ball. That's why the first half was beautiful to watch. The quality was so good.
Turbot had 4 from play inside 40 minutes, and Gallen, I think, had similar. It was just exceptional shooting.
But it was just tiff for that, and everyone, the man in the street, is expecting this to be a 5-4 type game. And I know, Jimmy, you were saying like both teams were playing defensively, but that's credit to the attack, that it was so slick. The conditions were great until the thunderstorm at half time, and maybe that plays into a bit of caginess in the second half. A lot of people are slipping and things like that. But I just thought the quality of the game, I have stuck the knife in Armagh for being too conservative and going out not to lose games. I think for so much of that game yesterday, and even in the fourth quarter, where I think it was just they ran out of gas. Maybe it's subconsciously they dropped back a little bit, but they're still trying to get up and get scores. They just didn't convert. They didn't have the quality in that fourth quarter. That's what they look back on. But Donegal's resilience, that's the belief. You know, this is a Donegal team that was on the fucking floor 12 months ago. Like they wouldn't win anything. They couldn't win a game. And just that, this is the McGuinness factor. Whatever the tactics and the innovation and all that stuff, they were just like, we are not losing this one. Even though, like I say, a couple of the scores go over, O'Donnell scored, it's like, even the crowd are thinking, nah, it doesn't really matter. And just, they keep at it.
Did you hear McGuinness?
Dog it out.
McGuinness talking after the game, and he was talking about the lads knocking up to his house after they were knocked out by Tyrone, asking him to come on board. That there
couldn't get rid of him,
there was a letter left in his letterbox that they plagued him. And it reminded me of a great story from 1988 when there was word going through in Meath that Sean Boylan was thinking of stepping away, and the Meath boys went up to his house. The Lyonses and O'Rourke and a couple of other big men, Hayes. And they called in
these fellas.
And Boylan's mum,
they wouldn't let him retire.
Boylan's mum let them into the house and they sat in the kitchen with him, and Padraig Lyons told Sean Boylan to put his shyness in his arse pocket, and the rest was history. But my point is, when you put your neck in the line and you go after somebody, does it give more impetus then to just commit yourself to a level that you hadn't possibly committed before? Because that's what McGuinness was speaking about. The application and training from all the players has been off the charts for the last couple of months, and that's what's got them to this point.
I think 100%. If you're going after a manager like that, and I'd say McGuinness, he probably knew he was going to take the job fairly early in that chase, and he just goes, "I'll leave these fellas keep coming after me." And then the more they came after him, the more power he had, or the more he had them in. You know, like I'd say he's a bit of a genius in terms of how he deals with fellas, how he gets them on side, and what he asks them to do. And I agree that 100% this story is about Donegal's win and their comeback and their rise from last year's disappointing season. The only reason that I would question Armagh is because we want to see them do well because they've been so close so many times. But the reason is they've now come out on the wrong side of 4 unbelievably tight results. And at some stage, you do have to take a step back and say, why didn't we get over the line in one of them? Or they have to be cruel on themselves and ask those questions, because it's going to be so hard for them to come out of this with
what would you say?
Go.
Like it's unbelievable. Like I was reading something. There's been 6 penalty shootouts in GAA ever. at senior.
They've been in 4 now.
Armagh have been in 4 and lost them all. They're like the English soccer team at this stage. Like it's
insane.
It's like when it went to penalties, or I must say, they go 2018 up, and Nugent and Oisin O'Neill score. What a
Beautiful
fucking score that was. And you think, right, now they have it. And Donegal or Doherty score over on the far sideline in the 89th minute. He kicks that off the outside of the boot, and the camera cuts to McGuinness, and McGuinness is even nodding his head. He's like, that, I don't know what, that shot was not on. And the young lad kicks it over, and it's like, this is going to extra time. And it was at that exact moment, I was like, Armagh are not going to win this game.
John.
And I don't think anyone in the country was thinking when it goes to penalties, these poor lads.
But
like, they did so much right, and they're still
somebody was making the point that Armagh have clearly practiced penalties. Their penalties were like Tiernan Kelly's lucky.
Really
his
good.
goes under his patents, squirms under him, but the rest of them are quality. Like Shane McPartland had obviously worked on a type of penalty, and then he had to go again. Like, do we need to look at that aspect of the rule? Like, does it have to be the same 5? Come on.
I think it should be like the soccer.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know why it's not the same 5.
It's such unnecessary
It's
cruelty.
the second time Armagh have been done on that. Like,
it's unnecessary.
It's similar to rugby, isn't it? Where they nominate a couple and they just do the same over and over. Because I suppose what they're saying is that you wouldn't have more than 5.
But that's the key. You want lads who are completely shit going up taking them and skying one off. Like the misses are as good to watch as the.
Paddy. But you're queuing up, right, and you're going, all right, it's my turn for the penalty, and you're literally probably shitting your pants in front of 26,000 whatever, baying for blood, praying you'll miss. You put it down, score it, back up. The relief, like you are buzzing, and next thing, you're up again. I said, huh?
That's not right.
But Donegal changed their order.
They did.
In fairness,
I didn't know you were allowed to do that.
That was very clever.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were allowed to do that.
Yeah.
That was clever because it's almost whoever wants to take the penalty at that stage, you know.
But even
put your hand up the first time around, but to put your hand up again, that really is a set of balls like to go on and do it again.
Would you go the same way, James, or would you make the call in the moment? Did you switch? You had two penalties in the 2014 Mayo game, didn't you? The semi-final.
Yeah.
And you went different directions.
Scored them both.
Well, I actually was going the same way, and then I saw him move, and I had to cut it back then, second time.
Okay.
So it depends on your technique.
They
do say that you should be picking your side.
Never change
in the couple of days coming up, and I have had to do that as well because there's nothing worse than you're going up to take a penalty, and you have so much anxiety and everything, and then you're thinking, will I go here? No, I'll go there, and then you look at the keeper and he's slightly over to one side, and you're thinking, does he want me to go that side, or is it a double bluff? Like there's so much going on under pressure. You probably are better off picking a side, and no matter what, you're going there. Okay. Do you remember Van Dijk took one against Kepa?
Yeah, mugged him. I looked back and I was like, if you ever do that again.
Kepa went all the way over to the post nearly, and Van Dijk still smashed it in that side. So I think he was going there regardless. I hope that Armagh can actually take the positives out of it though, and how they put in an unbelievable performance, but they have to learn how to get over the line. Because as Paddy said, that's the most important quarter. Yeah. The last quarter is that's where you really make your money, like, and get over the line, kick on.
I thought there was one thing.
If you look at this just on Armagh, because I know Donegal won and they deserve their credit, but like Armagh's final 10 minutes against Down, the semi-final, it was the exact opposite. They'd been pretty shit for 3/4 of the game, and they work a couple of brilliant scores. Guys off the bench, Jason Duffy, Nugent comes in, and they get the scores. And you could see they were probably trying to work a set play in kind of the last 4 or 5 minutes. And it doesn't come off like it did in the semi-final against Down. So, like, of course you can just go, Armagh should win tight games and all that stuff. I would be far less critical, I think. I think they didn't have the quality at certain times in that final quarter, but they did a hell of a lot right. And it's the big thing I'd say for McGuinness and those players is to go into the All-Ireland series now. Tough group as well. You know, what?
Galway's group. Galway, Derry, and Westmeath.
Where are they at mentally today? Like that is a serious loss again. And the reality is they're not going to win the All-Ireland. So they're kind of thinking, what's success now? Can they get to a semi-final?
Success has to be winning one of those tight games. Like that is a must. They have to.
But is that like if there's no do you think Armagh genuinely All Ireland contenders here? Armagh going to win the All Ireland?
If Armagh won the Ulster title, they were in an unbelievable position. I'm not in a difficult group.
That's what I mean. I'm saying now today,
Yeah.
winning a tight game, does that float their boat? I just think they're on the floor. That what lifts that group now? Like 4 penalty shootouts in a row, and another bit of silverware drifts by.
Yeah, like it's like, I know it's different, and I don't know whether you're gonna give out to me for this, but there's echoes of that Mayo journey in 2010s. A team that could get so close, but just couldn't get over the line. And the biggest day, this is obviously different. These are quarterfinals and Ulster finals, but there's just that similar, a team with a lot of really impressive players and doing lots of really good stuff, but just not getting over the line. Would
you have Donegal as one of the favourites on?
Who are your top?
Would you put them into the top 3?
Yeah, are they in your top 5?
Top 3, top 5.
They weren't in Joe Kernan's top 5 last week and off the ball.
Was they Joe Kernan? They're carrying the top fucking 10.
Mark McHugh.
I did hear this.
Mark McHugh wasn't happy with that.
I did hear this. Big Joe.
I'd say Mark was sweating though.
Mark McHugh. If I was him, I wouldn't have mentioned that until after the game.
Would you have got a slap on the wrist from the Kerry media, the fellow members, if you had uttered something like that?
He was calling Cluxton washed up last year. Said it was
never.
He said it was a disgrace that Dublin brought him back.
Proper punditry.
I never said washed up. I said that it was washed a bit desperate of Dublin to have to go back, seeing as they get about 150 million a year to put a team together.
You mentioned his age. There was one thing I thought Donegal did really well in that game, and I don't know if we're going to have time to linger on it now. We might talk about it at a roadshow on the 24th of May in the Mount Donegal Hotel. Tickets are on sale now. But and I don't know whether this is a phrase I've just made up, but their penetrative passing from the top of the D, they're kick passing. They're probing passing. There you go. Thank you. That's a better word. I just thought that was really, really impressive in the first half. They were taking chances. They were creating moves. And they weren't afraid to kick the ball in and around the top of their D.
They struggled. They turned over a good few balls as well.
They did.
In that first quarter. But it was funny. I think Ed McGuinness alluded to it on commentary. I was watching it on RT. I wasn't watching it on the B. Apologies, Murph and Philip McMahon. But Ed McGuinness was speaking about that they're both playing against the same system, whereas Armagh was width and depth, which is what I spoke about, and the way we would have played against with Dublin. And Donegal were continually bunching in and trying to create space around the arc outside of it. But it did result in quite a few turnovers in that first period. But I think their first quarter, even despite that, and Armagh getting the boost of turning them over in the centre channel, I thought that was probably Donegal's best quarter. They were 6-4 up. Gallen was electric. He was giving poor old Paddy Burns a right run around. But it's just an interesting thing. I agree that they were trying to find gaps and they were probing, which is a positive. But it wasn't all rosy for them either.
No,
that side of things.
No, it wasn't.
It was interesting where both sides took shots from, because like to get their conversion rate so high, especially in the first half, they didn't get any handy shots off, or they weren't looking to go completely in the scoring zone. In fairness, I like team standard of kicking, I think is right up there at the moment. It's very high, the standard of shooters around the place, and the way teams are able to get the right shooters on the ball. Like if you're able to score from those angles or those distances, it gives you some advantage against that blanket. I can't see the blanket working come Croke Park.
Okay.
If you're knocking out 15 points there, up to 20, including extra time in Clonus,
so
Croke Park you'll be able to pick even more holes in Croke Park, I think.
Drop the duvet, says James O'Donoghue.
Yeah,
would be nice.
Do you think it's like it?
I don't think you win the whole thing. I've always said it. I don't think you win the whole thing playing that way.
I don't.
But if you look, I know.
I don't think it guarantees. I don't think it guarantees defensive stability. That's the point. It used to. You keep it down to 12 points. I don't think you can anymore.
If you look, I know we're going to chat about the Leinster final yesterday. Louth have very uber defensive system. They work it really well, and they're leading. Or it's level going into the third quarter of the Leinster final. So you can think, if you're a Louth shoes, what a brilliant defensive setup. And they're blanket talk about Stephen Cluxton take the kick out, Louth sprinted back, all 15 into their own 65.
Yeah.
And they were praised for it. It was really, really good. It was talking about playing to their strengths and trying to nullify the opposition. But Dublin weren't great at all. We talk about it. But they still scored 119. And that's the point you're making, Jimmy, that against the biggest teams, it's not enough. It's not. I mean, you're even saying Louth shoes, well, they're not all-Ireland contenders. So that's the best chance of them to cause an upset there. But if we're talking about Armagh, who are thinking we're going to try and win the All-Ireland here, that uber defensive style of play won't win it. I literally, it gets to a point, but you won't win the biggest games against the best teams.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just to be clear before we move on to Louth, neither of you are saying to ditch the penalties, but you are saying to reassess the cruelty of the takers having to go again.
The penalties are brilliant, lads. Like that was spectacular drama yesterday. It was, and every time, yes, it's a hard way to lose, particularly in our Armagh situation because they've lost four of the fucking things. That is, maybe Armagh should just be given a replay. If you draw with Armagh, it's a replay from now on. But everyone else, the penalties are great, lads. They are. They're brilliant to watch. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
There's no time for replays, lad. There is
no. I'm
time
not saying
to
that,
play
but
replays.
I'm saying, would you change the rule that the same 5 has to go again?
I'd change that.
Yeah.
I would I'd have it the exact same as a soccer one.
Yeah.
That it goes 11 or 15.
Sudden death. No, not flat. Okay.
Yeah. Jimmy? Penalties?
I think you'd have some wooden legs going up taking a few penalties there come the end.
But that's great to watch. That's even better to watch.
Spread the pain.
Skyler.
Spread the pain. Spread the cruelty.
Yeah.
But the concept of penalties, Jimmy, you're on side.
Yes, I do like the penalties, yeah. I do.
Okay.
Even though I didn't yesterday because I almost knew what was going to happen. Not again.
Well, was it gripping sport? Was it gripping to watch? Lads are going up. I was nervous myself. I was like,
it's horrible to watch. It's horrible.
A couple of the run-ups were funky enough as well.
What are you thinking of? Turbott's short run-up? Are you thinking of some of the longer run-ups by...
McGuinness was definitely going, oh lads, what's he doing? When he took 3 steps back.
Nicholas and Elka.
No, I do not fancy
He
this.
buries it. He buries it.
I know, but I seen it. I was like, whoa, that's ballsy.
Somebody else also had a...
standard run up.
Somebody had a recklessly long run up. Was it Langan or McGee who took a penalty?
Donegal, lads. I
One of the
remember
midfielders.
the same thing. I was going, this is going over the bar. Like I was thinking, he was going to absolutely root.
But nobody went high like Glasser McFall in last year's Ulster final or McManus. Like
Conor McManus.
Yeah, nobody went high.
I think it's very hard to go high with tired legs.
Okay,
because it could, like, if you're not bang on the money there.
Yeah.
Do you remember Mannion's won the All-Ireland final against Tyrone where he literally put it stanchion, but it was early in the game. Like
Ryan O'Donoghue tried to do the same in the All-Ireland final and it just went wide.
Where did he put? Yeah, Brian Sheehan every time hard and low, unstoppable.
Yeah, it is 11
but
yards.
He had a weapon of a leg.
Yeah. Okay.
It's further out. It's further out.
Because high normally one of the best at it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, and this can be a quick answer. Would either of you ever write a book?
No.
A children's book.
Well, you won't need to. James, did you write a book? Would you actually? Would you?
A colouring book.
A colouring book would do well.
You and Francis Brennan there in Killarney National Park. Jimmy, this is a product for you. For the shelves for Christmas.
Do you want to mention this?
It would clean up, lads. Huh?
It would. Well,
you're
in a book.
Flogging a book, Tommy?
No, you're in a book.
You're
The 2 year in a book. You're in this book. It's called Wise Words, Thoughts and Beliefs of Great Coaches. It's a book that Owen Jordan has put together with loads of different quotes from players and sports people and coaches over the years. And Paddy Andrews, you're actually, there's 300, 400 pages here. You actually made the cut in the top 10 quotes. In beside,
was it the story about going back to Jimmy?
No. No, this is serious stuff. So Paddy is in a list here with Eddie Jones, James Kerr, the
legacy guy from the All Blacks.
the great.
This is great stuff.
The great NBA coach John Wooden. You're in the same list as Paul O'Connell, Sun Tzu, The Art of War.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Maurizio Pochettino, and Paddy Andrews. So quote number 2 from Paddy Andrews. Your fundamental job as a coach is to make the players you're coaching better. I can remember you saying that.
That is true. And that's actually my own. I just said that. I didn't steal
just
that
make it
quote
up.
off Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu, the art of war. That is Jim Gavin would be delighted with me there.
But there's a great bit in it actually from Rory Kavanagh's book where he talks about what McGuinness implemented. And I'm just going to read an excerpt here.
Hold on, before you get into that, what's Jimmy's quote?
I haven't found it yet. There's a couple of
How do you know
quotes
he's in it then?
because there's a couple of quotes in the football pod in it.
I know
it.
it is. It's a very good one.
Which one is it, James?
James quote. And
It's
who's
a very,
he in the
very
list
good
of?
one.
I'll find out now.
James
No, but
O'Donoghue.
you made the cut for the top 10
Eric
quotes.
Ten Hag. Jimmy.
To be
Ten
fair, I
Hag.
was expecting
Harry
something.
Redknapp.
I was expecting something like ridiculous for Paddy's one there, considering it made top 10. A coach's job is to make the players better. What the fuck? I make the top 10.
Jimmy, simplify.
It's
That's the key.
It's in the simplicity.
That's the key.
It's actually it's a brilliant book.
Less is more.
Owen, well done putting
It's
it
a great
together,
book.
and best of luck with it. And check it out. It is actually a fantastic book. Okay,
It sold 1 million copies, has it?
I have a McGuinness quote there, but I'm going to save it for a roadshow because it's actually brilliant. I'm going to do it with our special guest who was part of that team back in 2011,
Jim, McGuinness.
2014. No, it won't be Jim. Jim will be busy that weekend.
Get him on the show, Tommy, will you? You're the football correspondent for Off the Ball. Like, come
A
on.
lot of work would have to go into that. So, Dublin Loud.
Write him a letter. Write him a letter, and we'll call up to those.
Call up to the gaff. Get Jim's address, and we'll knock into the gaff.
Oh, that'll be
It'll take 6 months.
worth it. Yeah. Do you remember? Yeah. Okay. Right.
Jim will come on. Jim will do
I
it.
nearly said something there I shouldn't have said. Okay, Dublin Loud breakdown. What did Loud do so well this time around to reduce the gap from 21 to 4? James, what did you think they did? Because we watched Clare Kerry a few weeks ago together, and Clare caused Kerry some problems that we felt Kerry addressed in the second half, particularly around the long kick out. It was as if Kerry weren't expecting them to do that. They addressed it. They got better at it in the second half. What did Dublin get caught in the hop with?
I don't know that Dublin get caught on the hop, but Louth went ultra defensive, and it worked because in the first half, I know that it was thrown at Dublin. I think it was thrown at Fenton as well, that maybe Dublin just took the eye off the ball a little bit. I don't think Dublin brought enough intensity in that first half, and they left Louth suck the energy out of the game. Like against Dublin and Croke Park, the crowd are ready for them to to take hold of the game. And Louth are very clever. They held the ball, even if it was around the back. They play with fire a bit, held the ball, took the sting out of it, got up, got a free or got a shot off. And they came into the game nice and slowly, because I suppose there's always that risk of when you're playing a better team that you could make a mistake or two early, or you start off too open and next thing you're gone or you're out, you're under pressure for the whole game. So they definitely took the sting out of the game and they went ultra defensive. Like I've never seen a team go that give up a kick out by going so deep. Like they gave up the kick out and went inside their own 45. I couldn't believe it. Like there's absolutely, it was actually very interesting, because a lot of teams, when you're giving up a kick out, they'll go to the 45 and they'll say chip it out. But I think the Kerrys and the Mayos and the Galways, Dublins, I think they'll get up the field anyway. So Louth just said, they're going to get up the field. Let's just give it to them at halfway and we'll sit back to our own 65-45. And I think it worked. And I think in Sam Mulroy, they have an outstanding free taker that no chance goes amiss. And with Conor Grimes, I thought he was outstanding as well. And between the two of them,
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Really good.
the shooting by both of them especially was outstanding. And you know, when you're under pressure or you're under the pump and you need a few scores, people coming up kicking those monsters, it takes so much pressure off. So they showed brilliant quality. They showed that they can take Brennan's instructions and actually take it into the match. And they now can roll onto the group stages with serious confidence. I think it was a win-win for Louth. Just the fact they actually went at the game with something different. It was ultra defensive, fair enough, but I think it definitely stifled Dublin, and it might have brought out a couple of more questions about Dublin, which we didn't have. Now, was it the case of it's because they took the eye off the ball, or is it actually deeper problems? I think it's probably they weren't as up for the game as they could be, but it's hard to judge a Dublin and a Kerry, and especially those two teams until until the All-Ireland quarter-final, really. I don't think you can even judge them in the group, and you definitely can't judge them in the provinces. So, look, they got over the line, but I think win-win for Louth.
Paddy?
No, I agree with a lot of that. I thought Louth were very good. I thought the two boys you mentioned there, I thought Conor Rhodes was exceptional. That week forward, he gave James McCarthy a lot of trouble. Mulroy, I'd watched all of Louth's games in the championship already today, and I was kind of, maybe a little bit disappointed with Mulroy from play. His frees are obviously exceptional. He kicks an absolute monster one in the second half. Yes, he must be 65 yards out, shades of nearly Niall Morgan in that game against Kerry a couple of years ago. But I thought he was brilliant. His all-round game, I thought it was his best game in the championship for them. I think they will take a lot from the game. We said the one thing Louth would definitely have is athleticism and fitness. That team is on the journey a long way. You need that against Dublin or any of the top teams in Croke Park, and they showed they have that. I would fancy them massively in their group. I know, Tommy, hard for you with Meath and Monaghan are in that group as well, but I think Louth, they've lost the Leinster final, and that's a pain in the arse because they came there and they believed they'd win the game. They're probably the only people who did. Everyone outside the camp thought it was going to be a whitewash for Dublin, so they'll be a bit disappointed with that, but they will take massive positives from that performance yesterday. They were hard to play against, and if you look at templates when you're playing against Dublin, think of the first game of the group stage last year in Croke Park. Roscommon and Davy Burke do this to Dublin, where what Tyrone did to Donegal a couple of weeks ago. These guys want to play at 100 miles an hour. Don't let them. Let's keep the ball and fuck the crowd, for want of a better word. Let's slow the game right down. Let Cluxton have his kickouts. Let's bring everyone back. And the reality is Dublin were sloppy in the first half. They've 6 bad wides, a couple of bad shots as well, which shows, okay, lads are a bit frustrated. And that kind of feeds into focus, and maybe is there complacency there or not? Possibly. But I definitely agree. The intensity of play, when you're playing against that type of defence, there's 15 guys back. The guy on the ball has such a responsibility. And it can be difficult because if Cluxton kicks the ball to you and you get the ball 30 yards out and there's no one within 60 yards of you, you can kind of trot up the pitch and fuck around soloing the ball. And the pace you're moving at impacts everyone else on the team. If you're going slow and you give a shitty hand pass, it doesn't really matter. No one's going to intercept it. But the pace of you moving with the ball is slow. That infects everyone else. And I thought in the first half, Dublin were just lethargic. There was no intensity and pace in their attack. And then their execution was a bit off. Louth turned them over a lot of times, which is credit to them, and bad shots. Second half was a bit better. Again, impact off the bench. Paddy Small, Jack McCaffrey, these are guys who bring pace. If they're running fast, it just forces everyone else to move fast as well. And they're better on the kickouts. They get a couple of steals on McDonald. That's the win and losing of the game right there. But for Dublin...
Yeah, but the kick-out steal for the goal was...
Yeah. But that's the key. Yeah. It's if you're playing against that set defence team, when's the one time they're going to give you your own kick out? They're just going to run back. So the only time really where they're not going to be set is on if you steal their own kick.
Yeah,
it's a massive opportunity. Dublin didn't create any other opportunity really outside of that. It's a brilliant finish from Khan, but that's from the intensity and pushing up and being just sharper in the second half, which Dublin were. But for them, a little bit of a kick in the arse. They'll face that challenge again, most certainly, because teams are going to, you think they play Roscommon, they play Cavan and Breffni Park. Mayo probably won't play that way, but those two teams certainly will take from that, and they need to be better and just bring that back up to the surface of playing against those set defences. But I thought the story yesterday from the Leicester point was Louth's performance.
Yeah.
Credit for them, for Ger Brennan, for those players, and they will massively fancy their chances of picking up a couple of wins in that group.
They're playing...
I'd be leaning towards them.
Go on, James.
I think that this year, right, I think play against a set defence, I don't think teams have that much of a problem. Like Dublin kicked 119.
They still scored 119. Yeah.
119.
Despite
and they had... Yeah, they played very poorly. Fair enough, they were given a goal, but still, even if they get 19 points, they're beating everyone with that, really. Right? 90 points against set defence wins. I think where teams are going to have to work this year is on what to do if a team holds the ball inside their own half and tries to suck the game and the life out of the game on you. What do you do there? Because it's easy for us to say, well, you should push up and everyone chase the ball. Like a good team will pass around you in that situation as well and get up the field.
Well, Roscommon did it to Dublin last year. Dublin pushed up at times when Roscommon kept it for that 6-minute spell.
Was that in the draw?
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
Well, Dublin were caught with it that day as well. They were caught with it. Roscommon dictated play and took the legs
Roscommon will do
away
the same
from Dublin.
again. Cavan will do it. This is where this is where fucking Jim McGuinness comes in. He's trying to entice teams out, bring them forward, and then when you do that, you leave gaps in behind. That's why teams are reluctant to push right up and try and get the ball back. But I agree with you.
But James, I interrupted you there. What were you going to say about how you beat that?
Well, I'd love to say it's just push up, but you need your goalie then to be very involved, because you're going to need your goalie nearly to mark someone. Like if you push, and they have the goalie with the ball, either you're leaving someone unmarked in maybe the full forward line and leave your goalie in goals, or else you're using your goalie to mark and everyone pushes the line. So there's the goalie who has the ball and the opposition is going to be tackled.
No team is going to do that in the first 60 minutes of a match. Teams will do that in the last 2 or 3 minutes if they're
with a bit of
2 or 3
desperation.
points
Yeah,
down.
yeah, I know.
But you know, I hear you. It's frustrating to watch, and if you're the opponent, it's fucking frustrating to play against.
Yeah.
But they're doing it to drag you out of position, and this is what Donegal famously do against their team. You get dragged out, and all of a sudden there's gaps in behind, and then you're caught. So I don't think
I'd nearly rather
do this because
I'd
it's
rather the risk of that, because the downside otherwise is it takes all the energy out of you. It's like you're running on mud. You're just watching the ball go over.
But do you think
it's like
teams will
you're
do
being
that?
hypnotized.
Do you expect the team to do that 20 minutes into a match, if a team is playing keep ball, that they're going to go, right, everyone push up and let's try and get it back?
I think there's definitely
I
a
don't
way.
expect to see it.
Maybe for say one side of the field to push up and just force them down the other side, and then you kind of set the trap. There's going to be something that they can work on. You have to set a trap somewhere, because even when the Louth goalie had a couple of dodgy moments with the ball last day, it was just a little trap that they thought he was going to have the more time than he did. The next thing they were on him. I just don't think if I'm thinking now of Kerry's chance to win the All-Ireland, I would hate to see them watch the ball be passed over and back, because I know that it will not be good come the end of the game. Like you're taking all the energy.
This is a problem for them, Jimmy, because Kerry are going to face this against Mannion. Now it's in Killarney on Saturday, but Kerry have to play Louth. And what do you think Louth are going to do, and Ger Brennan is going to have those players doing when they play Kerry? Very similar to challenge to what Dublin bring. I think you'll see it lots over the next couple of weekends with teams that aren't favourites and they're playing the big teams. You're thinking Louth against Kerry, as an example, Roscommon and Cavan maybe against Dublin. What do Westmeath do, who are really effective defensively and basically shutting down completely out of the game in the league final? What do they do when they come up against, say, Galway? The reality is it's effective teams, because Jimmy, I know I played against it and you would have played against it. It is a pain in the arse to play against. Talk about frustrating, and particularly for forwards. And what happens is you don't get the ball for 3 or 4 minutes. Eventually you get it back, and then you feel like rushing something. You're so pissed off. You're like, right, we need to make something happen here. And that's to be fair, Dublin got caught in that cycle yesterday. And that's an experienced team. That's where they learn lessons from it, because they're definitely going to face that challenge again. But it is something I think you're going to see over the next 4 or 5 weeks. You'll see a lot of this. And I think it'd be great if teams said, right, the keeper is the last man, go out and play full back and push everyone else up. I don't think you're going to see teams do that until literally the last 2 minutes if they're chasing the game.
Yeah. It was so apparent to me, because when Fenton hit an outside of the boot pass long, out on the full, do you remember in the first half? And it was a pure sign that he hadn't touched the ball in so long. He forced it, made a bad decision. That's what it leads to. It leads to that all over the field.
If you're the opponent, Jimmy, that's exactly what you're going to do. You can't blame teams for doing that.
Oh no, I'm not blaming teams at all. But it's great. Yeah. It's great play by that team. But I'm saying, from a Dublin point of view, or a Kerry, say, against Monaghan, they're going to have something ready to avoid that situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you think they've dealt with the blanket, they're getting by the blanket, but we're going to have to see something this year about winning the ball back. That's interesting. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Briefly, I want to just rattle through some of the other stuff because there was a lot of really interesting bits from the weekend. Thankfully, we have a members pod that we're going to do later this week. We're going to look ahead to a cracking weekend of action. We've got Galway Derry. We have got Mayo Cavan. Galway Derry's on GAA Pierce Stadium Saturday evening.
GAA, I think, is it?
Yep. I don't think there'll be as much crying as there was about Cork Limerick last week.
Aye, no crying. So if it's not on GAA, what's it going to be on?
What a game, lads. Unbelievable stuff. Not sure if you saw Patrick Horgan, his penalty at the end. Oh, unbelievable.
It looked amazing, Tommy.
It was
incredible.
Lads,
the sun.
It was
with
a full house. It was a penalty. Lads,
spectacular.
The noise for 15 minutes after the game, the noise was insane. Now there was probably a lot of boozing done in Cork that day, and you could tell a lot of the fans were a bit leery on the pitch.
Hottest day of the year. Doesn't take much to get the Rebels going, to be fair.
There was an explosion of emotion, and they're still not fully safe. They obviously have to beat Tipperary this weekend to have any hope of making it into the knockouts. But yeah, what a game. Okay, so we've got Galway there this weekend. We've got Mayo Cavan, a Mayo game that isn't on TV or streamed for once. And then we've got Clare Cork in Cusack Park. And we've got Kerry Monaghan in Killarney, 3 o'clock GA Go. I'll actually be at that for Off the Ball. James, I might see you down there for a coffee. So, Tailteann Cup that weekend. Antrim, 4-12. Tipperary, 2-13. Antrim and Andy McNee putting up a big score on the Tipperary side. They got a bit of form, but wasn't enough. Carlow came back from 8 points down with 3 minutes to go to draw with Laois. A remarkable comeback. 2-2 in the last few minutes. Aaron Hammond with 2 goals. Then we had a couple of really big defeats, lads. Like in the Tailteann Cup, we had 2 14-point deficits. We had a 16-point deficit and we had a 20-point deficit. So Fermanagh dispatched Wicklow 3-16 to 9 points. Kildare hammered Longford in Hawkfield by 325 to 111. Down hammered Limerick by 120 to 1-6. And then we had probably the result of the weekend. London 220, Offaly 12 points. A sensational result for London. For Offaly, a team that had performed so well.
Home as well.
Yeah. Last year in the Leinster semi-final. Just, yeah, very, very surprising. Probably a worrying result.
Were they down a lot of bodies, Tom?
You're asking the wrong man. I don't think so. Looking at the teams that they played in the Dublin game and this game, James, I really don't think they were. I could be wrong in that, but I don't think they were. Sligo, a 6-point win against Wexford, a very high-scoring game, 221 to 215. We had Leitrim beating Waterford 17 points to 12. And I think that's all the results from Tailteann Cup round 1 at the weekend. We have another round this weekend. We have another 20s final this weekend too. We might have a word on that on our members pod. James, did you catch any of Meath 11 points, Kerry 12 points, or Tyrone's impressive
I saw
win
the second half
against Roscommon? Give us your summation, in less than a minute.
Start the clock. I think Kerry's team is very young. They have a couple of fellas just out of minor, but Tomas done a great job with them. Tomas and Brian Sheehan are the main fellas over him. I think they've done a great job. They'll be up against it. I think the Tyrone will be favourites. Bit more experience, but this Kerry team should be around again next year, or a lot of them will be around next year. A very enjoyable second half. I only saw the second half of the Meath game, but Meath will be kicking themselves. Both teams actually. Kerry butchered 2 goal chances. They should have put it to bed. And then Meath came down the other side and only needed a point to draw it and butcher 2 goal chances.
Meath down the stretch. Tommy, what was your reaction watching the final 5 minutes of that match as a Meath fan?
Well, look, as a Meath fan, you would be. Look, in a sense, you'd be tearing your hair out, but Kerry did leave a lot behind them in the 10 minutes before that. And Oisin McDermott made an unbelievable save from one of those goal chances. James, I think that's what you're talking about. But yeah, the 2 chances...
Yeah, that was a great save.
It was an unbelievable save. But the 2 chances I think you're referring to, one of them is a hand pass onto the post. Another one is hand pass wide.
He's kind of caught between trying to fist it over or square it to his mate.
Oh...
And then the shot at the end.
It was cruel,
lads. Onto the post and onto the crossbar, and Tinsley for Kerry. Yeah. He caught it. He was the coolest man in the stadium. He took a hop and everything inside the square.
How
Brian Kelly is the goalkeeper coach. I'd say he would have had an absolute heart attack at that stage.
James, I noticed,
but they got out of it.
I noticed, like it's often said that this isn't a Kerry team. There's a load of great talk about, but there was a lot of quality footballers in midfield, up front for Kerry, half back. And likewise for me, I thought there was a lot of very talented footballers on show. And hopefully same with Roscommon and Tyrone in the other semi-final. Did you see Shane McGinley's goal, lads? The opening goal for Roscommon, a long ball into him.
Missed this.
Oh, it was
savage.
Clifford-esque when he was a minor. Like, it was absolutely sensational.
And he got a point from next play.
Oh, but he's
He got a
reckless.
savage point from the kick-off.
He's a very talented footballer. So what you're hoping is, the first thing I thought of when Meath lost, the first thing I thought of was James Donoghue's words. That sometimes a win at that level can soften. And sometimes hurt isn't a bad thing. So that's the hope in Meath, that the likes of Jamie Murphy and Young Armstrong and Kinloch and O'Halloran and the lads, Liam Kelly and full back, that these lads will progress on from winning a minor a couple of years ago. And
that's what I was going to ask you. Obviously, the Royals are in the Tailteann Cup now over the next month. Are these guys allowed?
What Royals?
Are a couple of these guys? The Royals.
We won the Tailteann Cup last year.
Cup. Sorry, the group stages. Sorry. Just teeing that up for you. Well, are some of these guys going to come into the Calvary squad and get a few minutes over the next month?
Well, some of them have been in already. Brian O'Halloran has played league football. He came on, laid on.
Yeah.
So I'd
It's
say
still very young, lads.
Still very young.
No, I know, but
it's 20s. You're looking at 19, 18.
This is a young team.
Yeah.
It's a young Meath senior team. They're looking to bring in guys.
Plenty of them in and around it. John O'Regan, the centre back, is in and around the panel. He's been on a couple of matchday squads.
Great young man.
Yeah, good young footballer. And I didn't even get a chance to mention Paul Mannion's proposition, but I'm going to move that to the members' pot. Okay, we're going to talk about what Mannion had to say, which is he doesn't want rule changes. He wants the scoring system change. He wants 5 points for a goal, 2 points, 2 points for a shot outside the 45.
On the members' pod, but this is exactly what he said.
When did you speak with Paul Mannion? When did this interview
I know.
happen?
First thing I said to him was, "You're looking well for a man who won a Leinster title last night," and he laughed. So I don't know how well he
When was this meeting? No, was this this morning?
Around 12 midday today. Yeah.
Pinch of salt.
still
Where
feeling the
was it on?
He was in his
Where was
gaff. It was a remote chat. So it's available now for off-ball members. It's a good 20-minute chat.
Interesting.
He was definitely talkative. So maybe you're getting at something there.
No, great man.
Yeah, he was. He was asking for you. Okay, lads.
He was. Yeah.
Very, very busy time in the football pod. We have a live show, as we've mentioned, but thanks to AIB, Friday week in Donegal. We'll be bringing you news about our guests over the next week or so, but snap up those tickets. It's in the Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny. It's going to be a great night. James and Paddy, I don't know how we're going to get there, but we will get there. And we've got our members pod tomorrow. Chartered plane. You'd love that, wouldn't you? Yeah, so look, lots happening. Tickets are on sale.
You're not making Jimmy drive all the way to Donegal.
No, we'll figure something out. We're both coming from the Western Seaboard. We'll figure something out. Paddy Anders,
Copper.
James O'Donoghue, enjoyed that pod. Good work this week.
Thanks, Tom. Good to see you.
Lads, championship. It's been a great championship so far, I think. And
It's different, isn't it? Different buzz.
Yeah, like last year, remember the Finches were shy, and even the group stages took a while to get going, but I think it's been really good. Some great games. I'm in Salt Hill on Saturday night.
Nice.
I'm really looking forward to that.
That's going to be good.
Big buzz around Galway football, and I know we'll talk with the members, but Derry have just gone under the radar. No one said a word about them for the last month
Derry,
since they're
savage price. 5 to 6.
Derry gonna come to play on Saturday. I can't wait. I'm down at that game. Looking forward to it.
Class. Paddy, James, Ihawa, we'll talk to you during the week.
See you, boys.
My friends.